Testing, testing. Alright, I'll just give it another minute before starting. Maybe see if someone else joins live. Okay, well, let's get started. You are joining me for the season opener of AOR Gran Turismo League. This is season 17. I'll be commenting on Tier 4 White this season, and this will be round 1 around the Red Bull Ring. A few changes for this season is that we have now effectively 7 different tiers of drivers, just because of the sheer amount of drivers we have in the league, but they are split into 5 tier categories. So we have 2 tier 3s and 2 tier 4s. So I'll be commenting on tier 4 white. And of course, each of these will yield a champion who will be promoted to the higher tier at the end of the season. So let's see what results people got from qualifying around here at the Red Bull Ring. In 16th place, we have Shadows Wolf with a Citroen, which is not a choice of car we often see. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform with this car. 15th place, we have Monty with the Lexus. 14th place for JP with the GTR Black, Charizard with the Citroen as well in 13th place. 12th place for Juho with the GTR as well. Juho had a very strong season last time around. Just barely lost the championship on countback, actually, down to 4th place positions. Schumacher is up in 11th. He's with the Ferrari this season. Beaumont, I will probably pronounce it wrong, which I'm sorry for, but I'll try. Beaumont is with the AMG in 10th place. Sikush is with the Ferrari in 9th place. 8th place for Muncan. Boa is up into 7th place from the qualifying with the GTR. Boa also had a very strong season last time around. NTO is in 6th. He's chosen the Renault for this season, which will be an interesting choice because of some of the high-speed tracks we have, and the Renault not very famous for its top-end speed. Udale is with the Toyota up into 5th. Jezza with the Viper in 4th place. Interesting choice again for the season. Not a car we often see lately in AOR. Matthew UK with the second Viper up into 3rd place. 2nd place is Rocket, I believe, champion from last time. He had a very strong last few rounds. And in 1st place for the first pole position of season 17, we have Zelda with the Toyota. So without further ado, let's get started with the sprint race here at the season opener, 11 laps around the Red Bull Ring. We have 5 red lights and we're off. A great start from Matthew with the Viper already in first place. Rocket also had a great start there. NTO has a very good start with the Renault. It's famously very strong on starts, but he didn't have much to go. Let's see what happened here. It did seem like there was a bit of chaos. So let's see. Nearly 4 or 5 wide there, and it does seem like there was a bit of contact here between Schumacher and maybe Munchen. And yeah, unfortunately, both Ferraris suffer out of it, as well as Munchen with the Lexus. But out in front, Matthew is holding on to first position despite being challenged by Rocket down the inside line on the corner, and Rocket manages to get us up. Great fighting there between these two on the first actual braking zone. Matthew just managing to hold on to the lead of the race thanks to that Viper power. Let's maybe go back just a little bit, see what else is happening down the order. We'll try and stick with NTO. So Boa dives on the inside of NTO here for a great overtake. Zoda has a half-second penalty, and Udale is forced to go very wide, as everyone seems to have managed to keep it nice and clean. As we rejoin our race leader, being chased closely by Rocket here, and oh no, what did we get a glimpse of here? Let's see who it was. Jezza has a half-second penalty as well as Boa. Someone goes by there. Oh, NTO just put a wheel on the grass, it seems, and spun around, losing, unfortunately, all of the possible positions. He's down in last now, as we see Zelda and Jezza about to serve their penalties. Out in front, it seems pretty stable. Boa manages to gain a position on Jezza because of that penalty, as well as Beaumont gains a position on Zelda. The Viper obviously very strong on the straights, pulling a bit of a gap on Rocket. Let's see, does anyone think about a move in turn 1? Not from I can see. Monty seems to have a 1-second penalty picked up probably on one of the final 2 corners, which is very unfortunate to see, but in the lead, no real moves happening. Zelda dives on the inside of Beaumont and manages to take back 5th place, so he's now behind Jezza and trying to chase down the cars ahead. He was of course on pole position, so he's definitely having the pace to try and catch up to the cars out in front. Udale seems to have a half-second penalty as well, so of course the Red Bull Ring very famous for the endless amounts of penalties you can get. Juho not having the greatest race so far, it seems, in 11th place, as we see Schumacher go very wide and out into the gravel for a bit of an excursion and a lot of lost places. So the losing positions must have picked up a penalty, which I missed, and down into 8th place now, as Matthew, out in the lead of the race, sets the fastest lap, which is instantly taken by Boa, actually at 29.6. That's not a bad lap for the second lap of the race. Boa is of course in 3rd place, and he seems to be catching up to his teammate. Let's see if he'll be going for a move here on his teammate. Not yet, but 3 tenths purple in the first sector, so would be one to watch for any moves down the braking zone. Nothing too dramatic happening here, as Matthew out in front seems to have managed to open a comfortable gap ahead of the two Nissans behind him. A quick look on tires, they seem pretty much identical. Of course, the sprint race tire wear is only 2 times, so everyone should be able to comfortably finish the race on these tires without trying to preserve them. Udele with another half a second penalty. Let's see if he will lose the position to Seacook, and yeah, just about loses the position. Zelda, his teammate, has a bit of a look on the inside, but couldn't get a move done. So it will be interesting to see if he'll be able to go for a move now into turn 1 on his teammate. The Super, of course, famously extremely strong in a straight line, as Ferrari goes very defensive into turn 1. Not sure that was needed, but managed to keep the position for the moment, as Monty and Black Charizard are already a bit side by side before the turn. But let's quickly jump. Seacook already going very defensive as well. Bit of contact there with Zelda, and seems Zelda backed out of that move. Not sure if that was any actual offense there, but it did look like Zelda decided to wait and make sure he's not taking a position illegally. As we see Moncon dive on the inside of Shadow Wolf, but just backs out a little out of it. It did seem like there was just a slight touch there. As we see now, Monty and Black Charizard very close to each other, as Zelda and Black Charizard go very wide there. It'd be interesting to see if they get any penalties. Yes, 1 second penalty for each of them, so Monty will really be able to benefit from all of this, as he has a bit of a look on the inside even before turn 1. Doesn't really need to go for a move unless he's certain of it, because he will definitely get 9th place by the penalty line as long as he keeps it clean. Though of course, if he manages to get that position, he might be looking to instantly gain 8th place at the penalty line. A bit further up, I did catch a glimpse of Udele passing the Ferrari, and now it seems Zelda on the outside of the Ferrari, so the Ferrari must have had a bit of an exit and a bit of a moment there on the exit of the corner, loses traction, and now undershot from the Citroen as well. Let's see. Yeah, Black Charizard just dives on the inside, manages to grab the position. This is really bad news for the Ferrari driver, as he's now really going to lose time now. He was passed by cars with penalties, losing a lot of positions here. Juho managed to make some magic work, and he's gained 2 positions on this lap alone. Monty had a bit of a moment, bit of contact there. Now Juho already at the start of the straight, going down the inside, attacking into turn 1, as behind him we see cars going 3 wide. Let's see, Black Charizard just backs out of the move on JP, and JP manages to get a nice move, I believe, on Monty. So nice to see good clean racing from these cars, at least for this turn, as Black already goes on the inside of Monty, and Shadow as well had a bit of a look at JP. Oh, JP had a bit of a moment. Let's see what happened with JP here. Just lost his on the power of the exit of the corner. It's a place where it's easy to make this mistake, especially on this track. But let's have a quick look at our race leader. Matthew has been leading since the very first lap. He has the fastest lap at the moment as well, a 29.3, so he's gaining ground on the cars behind him. Rocket still sitting ahead of his teammate. I'm not sure if Bo is just enjoying a calmer race behind his teammate, or maybe doesn't have the pace to quite catch him. He seemed to be catching a bit earlier, but still this is a very good start for the moment for the Nissan team. Jezza and Ford lapping solidly as well with the second Viper. As Juho has moved up into 8th place now, ahead of the Ferrari. And the two Citroens are neck and neck right behind. Oh no, Zelda had a bit of a moment. Let's see. Yeah, identical to JP's error. Just on the power a bit too early and loses the rear end. It did seem like he spun on his own as Monty goes very wide through the hairpin there, losing a position to NTO, and he will probably regain it as NTO has a bit of penalty there, but it's still unfortunate to see that, as Zelda is now battling with JP, trying to recover some of the positions lost through that spin. It does seem to be close enough to benefit directly from the penalty, and yep, Zelda gets 13th place, as behind Monty takes 15th. Monken has picked up a half a second penalty, and what do my eyes see? The Ferrari sandwiched between the two Citroens. Bit of a moment there, and let's see did any of these cars pick up any penalties. Doesn't seem like it, which is nice to see, but yeah. Oh, Monken just couldn't get it stopped in time, it seemed. Let's join him on board and see what happened. Yeah, just couldn't stop it in time, and unfortunately crashes into the Ferrari, and as well pushes Shadow Wolf out a bit. Very unfortunate to see the team. Monken just missed his braking point there. But Bo now in 3rd place, all over the back of his teammate. And they're already going side by side here. Rocket had a bit of a wide moment there as Bo dives on the inside. Will he go for the move here on his teammate? No, just about backs out of it. And he does seem to be itching to go for a move this time around. So let's stick with these two, as they are very close to each other. Nearly identical times on the last lap as well. As Bo elects not to go for a move in turn 1, goes for a very safe line through the turn there, but will the slipstream now be enough for him to go for a move at the hairpin, as Jezza is really close behind them now, so a bit of their battling there has allowed Jezza to gain a lot of ground on them, and he will have a lot of advantage here on the straight line with the Viper. But just not quite close enough to consider a move on Rocket here, but if he manages to take the same line as the last lap around, would definitely be able to get really up close to Rocket. So this is now a three-way fight for second place in the race. Out in front, Matthew is probably in cruise control now for the final 2 laps. He has a very comfortable gap ahead of these cars, which will start battling now and will start losing time, of course, because of it. Meanwhile, Zelda takes the fastest lap of the race, a 28.9. So that's good to see Zelda, of course, at the pole position as well. So definitely having a strong 1-lap pace around here. As these three are heading for the hairpin, let's have a quick look at what's happening behind. Beaumont in 5th, and he's being chased by the Supra of Udele, with Juho having a 1-second penalty, fighting with Black Charizard out in back. As let's rejoin this battle. It seems Boa fell off the back of Rocket a little bit and is now under threat from Jezza. Jezza has a bit of a look on the inside. Does he dive? Yes, he dives deep on the brakes. He goes as Boa goes for a bit of a switchback here, but doesn't quite manage it. So he now lost the position to Jezza and had to tuck in behind him. Just about a lap and a little to go till the end of the race, and this was a very crucial move for Jezza if he manages to keep this position. Boa all over the back of him, having a look on the inside in the final 2 corners and makes a nice dive there, gets the position back. Great racing between these two around here, as they have fallen off a bit of off the back of Rocket now, so this will be a fight between them for 3rd place. Just goes just wide at the exit of turn 1. Will he pick up a penalty? Didn't manage to lift off enough to avoid a penalty there, which would be crucial. Yes, it seems no penalty for him at the moment, and he's still right on the back of Boa. Udele managing to just catch a little bit up to Beaumont, but probably not enough on the final lap to go for a move, but we'll try and follow that battle as well. But right now we will just keep an eye here to see who will prevail to manage to grab the last step on the podium. It seems just couldn't quite have enough at the end. He's fallen off the back a little now behind Boa, but out in front. Let's congratulate Matthew on winning the first sprint race of the season. Fantastic start for him, led every lap. Rocket takes 2nd place, Boa takes 3rd, Jezza in 4th at the end. Beaumont manages to hold on to 5th place ahead of Udele. Black Charizard is about to take 7th place ahead of Juho, who finishes 8th, 9th for Schumacher, Seekuch in 10th, 11th for JP, Shadow Wolf down in 12th, 13th for Zelda there at the end after that unfortunate spin, NTO in 14th, 15th for Monty, and Monken brings up the rear in 16th for the sprint race here. As we will now jump over and have a look at the feature race. Okay, after that short breather break, let's see how the grid lines up, and it seems more of the cars' liveries managed to load up for this replay, which is very nice to see some very pretty liveries for this season. So let's go through the grid. Strategy, of course, will play a part in this race as it's 27 laps on 5 times tire wear. So in 16th, Monken starts on the medium tires. Monty starting on the mediums as well in 15th. NTO starting on the hards with the Renault. So that'll be an interesting strategy for him. Probably going to try and go long for hards to softs. I don't know. It will be interesting to see. Zelda starting on the mediums as well in 13th place. Shadow Wolf, hard tires as well in 12th place. 11th for JP with the mediums as well for our sprint race winner Matthew. Starting in 10th, of course, we have reverse grid from the sprint race for the top 10 cars. 9th for Rocket starting on the mediums. Boa mediums as well in 8th place. 7th for Jezza with the mediums. Beaumont in 6th. Udele in 5th, 4th for Black Charizard, Juho starting in 3rd, 2nd place starting Schumacher on the softs, so that is an interesting alternative strategy, and out in front Sigurd is starting with the medium tires as well. So let's see how this will play out. Be interesting to see what Schumacher does with the alternative strategy, the only car starting on the soft tires around here. As we have a rolling start, but already we see Beaumont on the inside of Udele and gets that position. As the top 4 are as they were. Down into the first heavy braking zone, we see Jezza try and go down the outside, the inside of Udele, and he just about manages. There was a bit of a push behind him by Ball, which maybe helped him out a little, but he's already up into 6th, so great start for Jezza, as down behind we're barely going nearly 3 wide there as Matthew holds on to 9th ahead of Rocket and pretty much everyone as they were. So the Ferrari out ahead, still holding on to first place. Schumacher on the soft tires holding on to 2nd ahead of Juho, and it seems that Beaumont is already catching up to the top 4 with Jezza really close behind him. No penalties from what I can see here on the first lap, which is nice to see, as Shadow has a bit of a look on the inside, I think, but doesn't quite manage to do it. NTO goes very wide. Monty kind of pushed forwards by, I think, by his teammate there, and manages to get 13th place off of the Renault driver. Everyone seems really close here at the second lap. Out in front, interesting to see that the leader has managed to open up a significant gap on his teammate, as we have a spinner, and it seems that's unfortunately Beaumont with the MG, as let's see actually what happened to him. Let's go on board. So taking a very wide line, yeah, just on his own, on the power, something we've seen in the sprint race as well for a few drivers, as if your left tires are still sitting on that green tarmac right outside of the curb, it's very slippery, very easy to lose the car just on power on the exit of the corner, as Boa now goes aggressive on the inside of Udele, but now this turns into the outside through these corners. Let's see if he manages to just hang on. Yes, and manages to inch ahead of Udele. So Boa moves up into 6th place here, as all of these drivers have profited from the AMG's mistake, and our sprinters winner Matthew is up into 8th now. But out in front, it seems the two Ferraris are a bit in a league of their own for the moment. Medium tires versus soft tires for the two teammates here, but it's still pretty much as they were. Let's see now, it seems that Schumacher has a very good exit out of turn 1 here, and going up to turn 3, but effectively turn 2, he's very close to his teammate, but decides to brake nice and early. It's interesting if he will go for a move here, as he would need it, as he's on an entirely different strategy, so it would be beneficial for both of them to not fight at all and just switch positions here, but that doesn't always work out, of course. Behind them, so far it seems everyone is as they were, as JP has picked up a half-second penalty. As we also see Beaumont, after that spin, down in 15th now, looking for a way past Monken, trying to go on a bit of a recovery drive here. Two Ferraris at the end of the lap, still very close to each other, as Jezza goes very wide there through the second to last corner. Let's see that Jezza pick up a penalty, 1.5 second penalty, so that's a pretty harsh penalty there, and he will lose. If it goes like this, he will probably lose at least 3 or 4 positions at the penalty line. Going side by side with Bo into turn 1. I think they just about both managed to keep it. It did seem like there was a bit of contact now. This has opened the door for Udele to try and regain his position on Bo, but Bo goes very defensive around the inside, just about manages to close the door, and behind we see Matthew and Zelda battling for 8th place. Zelda had a nice run on Matthew down into turn 3. Let's call it factually correct, turn 3. And Zelda manages to brake nice and late on the inside of Matthew and just gain that position on him. So Matthew falling down to 8th place for the moment, as Jezza is about to serve his very long penalty, 1.5 seconds. Let's see how this will play out. Losing 2 positions, 3, 4 positions lost just by that penalty, as cars were very close to each other. But let's see, what did we miss here? So something happened on the minimap. NTO and the Renault on the higher tires, or just a bit of snap oversteer there, and that's unfortunate to see, as he will lose some positions because of it. Schumacher must have had a moment. Let's see, what did we miss by Schumacher? He was staying fairly close to his teammate, and yeah, just a bit of rear sliding on the power on the exit of turn 4, I believe that is, and he is now falling back down a bit into the clutches of 3rd place Juho, who is so far keeping great pace on those medium tires. Jezza has picked up, oh, actually we already saw Jezza's penalty, so let's go forwards a little bit and get caught up to where we were, as we're just starting lap 5 of 27 here. Bit of a train being formed here at the front, but Juho managing to keep these cars behind him. So let's see if anyone will go for a move here. Black cars are just thinking about it, forced to the outside, but manages to brake nice and lane, and now on the exit manages to go around the outside of Juho That was a very, very nice overtake. Not a lot of overtakes happened there around the outside, but I think Juho had to brake a little bit early just to be safe, and as a result just lost the position. And what happened there? There's a Toyota spinning around, and it's Udele. Udele has spun a little bit. Let's see. Was it assisted or self-inflicted? Beautiful livery there, and just a bit of contact with Maffei, but it seemed afterwards, just on the power, lost the rear end, as we've seen happen to a few drivers here. I'm not sure if that incident reached the steward's room or not, as Black Arrows are now up into third after overtaking Juho, and is trying to gain ground on Schumacher. Schumacher struggling a bit with the pace on the soft tires, it seems, despite having the fastest lap of the race. They are already nearly half worn, of course, so it'll be interesting what Schumacher does for strategy around here. As behind we see Rocket dive down the inside of Jezza, who has picked up a half-second penalty, and just about Rocket manages to get the position in turn 1, but loses it now on the exit, and he will be forced to go the long way around turn 3 here. On the brakes, will they manage to get it stopped? Just about both of them manage to get it stopped. Jezza holds the inside line and closes the door, and let's see, he's still being forced to hold position here. Rocket had a bit of a look on the inside, but thought better of it, as Monty and JP do just about the same there. Monty nearly losing it on traction at the end of turn 4, the exit of turn 4, sorry. But let's see, out in front, see Kuch, someone needs to tell me the correct pronunciation here. Has opened up a sizable gap to his teammate, so this is really benefiting the strategy of the medium tires for the Ferrari driver. Schumacher holding on to second place with the soft tires, halfway dead now, but managing to hold good pace. As Juho is now coming under pressure from Boa. Boa dives on the inside. Zoda nearly makes it 3 wide, but now it seems that Boa managed to take that position off of Juho and managed to get up into fourth. Juho goes a bit defensive here to try and cover off Zelda, as Boa had a very wide exit of the corner, which brings Juho back into the fold. They're side by side here for turn 5. Boa being forced to hug the inside line a little bit, which is not optimal, and Juho manages to take 4th place back. Great racing from these two. Of course, they were rivals last season as well, so they've had experience of driving against each other. If I'm not mistaken, they were teammates last time around. As Juho here lost a position to Zelda. Let's see what happened. I got a little sidetracked there, and yeah, Zelda just manages to take the inside line into turn 1, manages to stop nice and late, and just grabs that position off of Juho. Great overtake in turn 1. Not always ideal because of the long straight down to turn 3. We'll pretend turn 2 doesn't exist on this track, but yeah, the Supra is a car that can afford to go for a move in turn 1. As let's see what happened here. It seemed that Soda maybe had a bit of a contact with Boa. Just a little bit of a contact, pushing Boa wide and going wide as well. This has allowed Juho to once again regain positions, as Matthew seems to have benefited from this and is up into 6th now, but Zelda breaks very, very deep, manages to hold that position around the outside, as Boa is keeping ahead of Juho now. Very close fighting between these cars pretty much for 8 laps now throughout this race. This is of course costing all of them a lot of time. It would seem that each of them has the pace on its own to be gaining ground on the cars in front, but around this track, and especially it's a short lap, just minute 30, so every time you go for a defensive move it'll cost you about a second just over the lap time, as Zelda unfortunately picks up a 1 second penalty. Doesn't stop him from diving on the inside of Juho yet again, so pretty much a replay of what happened around last lap. But this time Zelda has a 1 second penalty, so unless he manages to open up a great healthy gap ahead of Juho, he will lose that position again. As behind we see Monty have a bit of a look on the inside of Jezza. Both of them managing to keep it clean, but it seems that Jezza will be able to keep that position. That Viper well, very fast in a straight line and just managed to get good traction on the exit of the corner. All of these cars seem to be catching up to Schumacher and Black Charizard. Black Charizard seems to be unable to find a way past the soft tire running Ferrari, as it seems Schumacher is about to dive into the pits, or is it just going defensive? No, he goes into the pits to get off those soft tires, so this has opened up the clear air for the Citroen here. Let's see if he'll be able to gain ground, as he's just coming under pressure a bit from Boa behind him in 3rd place at the moment. Zelda has picked up another half-second penalty, so this is definitely a race he's not enjoying in terms of track limits, as Matthew and Rocket are now fighting for 6th place. He just hasn't managed to open up a gap on Monty in the last lap, but they are still keeping the same positions as last time we were with them, as JP in 10th has picked up a half-second penalty, which will probably allow Udalay to just breeze past. A lot of these drivers seem to be keeping just about the same pace, but due to the mistakes and battling that have happened, some of them have lost positions, and it's very hard to regain them afterwards unless there's a big delta in the pace. Schumacher has come out in 15th on the hard tires, so that'll be interesting to chase. But out in front, Sikuch is in the 31s now for the last couple of laps, but has a great gap as we just rejoined Boa, having a bit of a dive on the inside of turn 1. but thinking better of it and slotting behind the Citroën now. Having a bit of a look for a over under here, and he's very close now to Black Charizard. Will he try and be brave on the brakes on the inside? Yes, dives nice and deep. All drivers give the room, but yeah, then Nissan just manages to inch ahead here. They're nearly side by side now, going into the next corner as yeah, the Citroen driver just manages to hold on to second place there, but this is again costing both of them time, and maybe a bit of working together would have been more beneficial for them at this point in the race, but of course that's very hard to do as surely everyone thinks they have the stronger pace, but all this fighting is leaving a lot of time on the table, and yeah, the race leader is just taking great advantage of that. He's opened about a 1.5 gap on Bo on just the final lap, and Bo manages to get ahead of Black Charizard just about. It seems to have a nice gap here for the braking zone of turn 3, so he should be able to keep that position unless any mistakes happen. Just about manages to keep it. Juho has been brought back into the fold because of this fighting here, and let's see, right behind Zelda again a half-second penalty, and Rocket is having to think about a move, being shown the outside by Zelda, who just about closes the door on Rocket and keeps 6th place for the moment, but Rocket should be able to gain that position at the penalty line as soon as Zelda is forced to hit the brakes for half a second. Doesn't quite manage to get it done, so Zelda manages to hold on to the position, which is very nice for him, despite serving that half-second penalty. But having a bit of a look further up, it seems Juho is thinking about a move on Black Charizard, but thinks better of it. Maybe looking to grab the full effect of the slipstream here for the next overtake opportunity. Bit of a moment on the exit of the corner by Juho, and this costs him a bit of time as Zelda has picked up another half-second penalty. This is really hurting his pace and overall losing a lot of time due to penalties being served, and keeps forcing him into defensive positions and battling with other cars. Track, of course, very easy to get a penalty on. As the race leader goes for another lap, starting lap 14, so we're just near halfway distance here as the Citroen dives into the pits to change tires. He was on the medium, so it'll be interesting to see how he does now. Boa and Juho are released in a bit of clean air now as Matthew has made his way up into 4th. Of course, all of these drivers yet to pit, but it still goes to show that they are making progress. So has picked up another half-second penalty. I believe all of these are happening on the exit of turn 1. As Rocket must have had a bit of a moment, forced to go just a little bit defensive from Monty. So again, Zelda has a half-second penalty, but it doesn't seem like Rocket is close enough to benefit from it. We saw last time around he couldn't get past the Supra when Zelda had again a half-second penalty. Let's see if anyone dives into the pits out in front. No, not yet. As Juho must have had a moment. Let's see what happened to Juho on the final corner. A bit of oversteer. Instantly loses the position to Matthew and is now a lot slower on the straight. Manages to not completely lose control of the car and loses just one position, which was good for him. But this has brought Zelda a lot closer to him now. Let's stick with this little battle for the moment. Zelda taking big advantage from Juho's mistake behind. We see Monty go for a great dive, I believe, on Jezza. Yeah, Zelda now all over the back of Juho. As we're nearing the pit window for most of the medium tire runners, both for tires and for fuel, Juho goes a bit defensive here in the second to last corner, but manages to make it nice and clean and keep the position for the moment as Matthew looks to break the toe, but Zelda goes down the inside of Juho. It stopped nice and late. Will he manage to get the corner clean? Yes. And that's fourth place now for Zelda. Looking at the rear end of Matthew, the sprinter turner already, even before the braking zone, dives on the outside, outbrakes himself just a little bit, and no, that's disaster for Zelda there. Nearly loses the car on the exit of the corner, and it's now back down into 7th place. So just because of that little mistake, loses 4 positions to the cars ahead of him. Juho managed to squeeze past Matthew as well there, so Juho is now back up into 3rd place. Took great advantage from that. As we see, I think Zelda went very wide there. Yeah, it was Zelda, and gets a half-second penalty for his troubles. Goes a bit wide again. I'm not sure if that was planned or not, but let's see. Will anyone go into the pits? Yes, Boa dives into the pits on lap 16, so maybe this will be a bit of an undercut. What happened to Zelda here? Just goes a bit wide again and loses it on the exit of the corner over the curb. Very unfortunate to see. Really seems like a race to forget for Zelda. As out in front, Seacook is still holding on, probably about to pit on this lap, judging by the remaining fuel. Let's see, Shadow Wolf is behind him on the medium tires. A bit curious, didn't he start on the medium tires? Maybe I'm mistaken. Interesting to see. Yeah, Juho now holding on to 2nd place. after Bo's pit stop. So effectively Bo is still ahead of him, I would imagine, but yeah, holding on to second place, managed to open up a bit of a gap over Rocket behind him. I would fully expect all of these drivers to pit now, as we see the race leader into the pits on lap 17. Let's see what everyone else will do here. Juho decides to go for another lap. Rocket, Monty, Jezza all going to the pits. Let's see what everyone else will do. Udale goes into the pits as well. JP as well. These two are very close in the pit lane. Monkan goes into the pits as well, and this will give Black Charizard. It shows soft tires now, so I must have seen it wrong, but he's about to gain a few positions here, I believe. Yep, up into third place for the moment, unless someone manages to jump him on the exit, but I don't expect it. So that's a great undercut there from the Citroen driver. Of course, more worn tires, but it'll be still interesting to see if he manages to hold the position. Ball behind him, he pit on lap 16, I believe, before most of these drivers. And Schumacher on the medium tires is holding a steady 5th position. So a few position changes here after the pit sequence, and most of the drivers who undercut everyone else managed to get a nice solid jump in positions, and they will now of course have their hands full with more worn tires to the end of the race, as Juho goes into the pits from the lead of the race to get off those medium tires. The Ferrari will of course easily get the lead of the race again, as he had a very sizable gap. Let's see. Black Charizard holding on to second place now, ahead of Bo in third. Bo picked up a 1.5 second penalty, so this will definitely not help him out, as Monty dives onto the inside of Schumacher and manages to get it done in turn 1. And Schumacher has a half-second penalty, as well as Juho slots into 6th after completing his pit. The only advantage Juho has, of course, is the 1 lap younger tires on his cars compared to everyone else ahead of him. Of course, Schumacher pit quite a while ago. He's on the medium tires, the only driver on the alternate strategy. So it should be a lot easier with the tire difference for Juho to find a way past him. Bo about to serve his penalty, but this won't really affect his position. He'll just drop back. But let's see what's happening here. It seems for the next corner someone managed to go for a bit more interesting. Yeah, Juho just manages to have a look on the inside of Schumacher here, and yeah, gets it done. Gets 5th position as Matthew follows him through the inside, around the outside of the next turn, around Schumacher, who serves his penalty, and Matthew gets 6th place as well, taking advantage. Matthew holding the fastest lap of the race for the moment as well, a 29.7, but that will probably drop down more. Monty nearly goes wide on the exit of turn 1. So a bit of a gap has opened up between the cars here. Oh, scratch that, Matthew is already nearly bumper to bumper with Juho being forced around the outside here. Trying to go for the old switcheroo, but doesn't quite manage to get it done. Juho managed to close the door and just hug the apex nicely, despite diving from the defensive line there, as Schumacher right behind him is trying to hold off Rocket, though that might prove to be a difficult challenge with the tire delta. As Black Charizard goes for a second pit stop. That's a very non-typical strategy. I don't think anyone else went for a two-stop, at least from the races I've seen. So unless he's seen rain or the radar or something else which I'm not able to anticipate at this moment, this will definitely cost him a lot of positions, and it has promoted Bo into second place of the race. I should be able to complete the race with that fuel and those tires. As Juho and Matthew go side by side again, Matthew very close to the back of Juho once again here for turn 4. Juho going defensive nice and early, and these two are side by side again in the braking zone. Will he manage to hold it this time around? Matthew manages to go for the switchback, got the inside line nice and clean, and takes 4th place. Let's see if he'll be able to manage to keep the position, but that overtake was perfectly executed. Juho is still holding on to the back of him, and it will be interesting to see if he'll manage to make use of the slipstream behind that Viper. Matthew looking to break the tone nice and early. And let's see what's happening behind. Rocket has picked up a half-second penalty. Just had a bit of a look on the inside as Rocket goes very wide through turn 1. And will he pick up an extra penalty for his troubles? Yes, another half-second. So the total is now a second. And this will definitely cost him a position to just behind him if they stay within the same distance as we see them now. A quick look ahead. Sikosh driving into the 130s on the soft tires. No real need to push. He has a huge gap over second place Bo, and another huge gap to Monty in third place, who is having the fastest lap of the race at the moment. So finally enjoying some clear air here and managing to show his pace, going purple as well around this lap. Matthew just manages to creep ahead of Juho and open up a bit of a gap. So he's able to hold this position for the moment. After that beautiful overtake we saw, and now Rocket, after serving his penalty, is looking to get past Schumacher once again, and I see a bit of hint of rain. This will throw a bit of a spanner in the works. It's just a little bit of rain for the moment. Definitely still slick tires, but it will be interesting to see if this gets into something more interesting. Rain meter is just about creeping up little by little. It's still slick tires optimal, definitely. Yeah, with effectively 5 laps to go. It's interesting to see Zelda goes on the inside past his teammate. So let's see, our race leader elects to continue going on the soft tires. Ball behind him has really eaten into his tires. Might prove to be a bit of a challenge to get to the end of the race on these slick tires. That's of course just in case the rain actually doesn't get worse. Monty decides to pit. I can only imagine that's for intermediates, as Matthew and Juho carry on with the slick tires. Jezza as well, and Rocket has pit as well. Let's see if their gamble will pay off. They are essentially forfeiting a lot of positions, maybe expecting the rain to get worse. Yeah, Monty comes out on the medium tires, and really Rocket will as well. Rocket fuels a little bit as well, so maybe a mistake there in terms of how much fuel he put on his first stop. But yeah, Boa's tires really do not look in the best of conditions. Just to think that NTO is just sitting behind the race leader, obviously having the pace to maybe unlap himself, but electing not to do that. The track is just going on that crossover where intermediates would be better. But yeah, Boa, Matthew, Juho, all of them electing to stay out. Jezza as well, Schumacher as well, still on the medium tires. So let's see if Monty on the intermediates managed to pick up a 1 second penalty, and under pressure now from Udele. And was there a bit of contact there? Let's have a look now. Just a bit of contact. Udele dove into the inside of the corner and just gave a bit of a push to Monty. I'm not sure if that was any fault of Monty or Udele. It did seem like Monty turned in a bit there. Maybe didn't expect him there for that moment, but the rain does seem to be holding steady, so the gamble for the intermediate tires that hasn't quite paid off yet, and they are definitely losing time. Monty and Rocket losing time on the intermediates here after their decision to switch tires. The track actually looks just a little bit drier than it was a lap ago, as Boa's starting to struggle a bit on those tires, being caught up by Matthew, who doesn't have exactly brilliant tires behind him as well. Juho has a huge tire advantage on these two drivers and will profit immensely if they wear out their tires firing in between each other, but Matthew managed to get a very solid overtake on Boa down the inside. So let's stick with this battle here for second place, as we have started the second to last lap of the race. The track just staying in that nearly intermediate point, but still optimal for slick, so everyone has elected to stay on these tires to the end. I think Monty and Rocket's gamble with the intermediate tires couldn't quite pay off. As Juho is now looking for a way past Boa. He's dropped off the back of Matthew, and Juho just has more grip, gives Boa a bit of a push there, helping him out a little bit. Yeah, Boa seems to really be struggling on the fast turns as well. The car understeering with all that tire wear. As Juho takes an aggressive inside line through the final two corners and gets the position off of Boa, getting himself into third place at the start of the final lap. Monty still on those intermediates. And Rocket down in 12th on the intermediates as well. Really unfortunate. Pumon seems to have pit for intermediates as well. I must have missed that. And JP has actually pit for soft tires. I must have missed the reasoning behind this, but he's down in 14th now. As Juho has managed to gain on Matthew just a little bit, but I don't think it will be enough unless Matthew has a horrible moment in the final turn. Just might. His front left tire is looking very worse for wear, but let's rejoin our race leader around the final turn. Comes across the line in first place. Great win for Sikush. Kept control of the race throughout the entirety of it. Through the final corner come Matthew and Juho. Really Linus turn, but Matthew manages to hold on to second place. Juho third. Jeza just about manages to pip Boa across the line for fourth place, as Boa brings it home in fifth. Schumacher, after going for the alternative strategy, brings it in sixth. Zelda in seventh. Udele in 8th, Monkan 9th place, 10th place for Monty. After that gamble for the intermediate tires just didn't pay off. Black Charizard takes 11th place in the feature race. Rocket, another one who lost out on the gamble for intermediate tires, unfortunately. 12th place for him, 13th place for Beaumont, another intermediate gamble. JP 14th at 15th place for NTO. So let's have a quick look at the pre-Stewart standings ahead of the next round here. In first place we have Matthew with 37 points after a sprint race win and a second place in the feature race. Second place for his teammate Jeza with 26 points. Tied with him for second place is Sikush with the Ferrari after the feature race win, 26 points as well. And in the next position we have Boa on 26 points as well. So we have three drivers tied for second place in the Constructors' Championship, and after them Juho just 3 points behind. In the Constructors' Championship, the Viper team takes a steady lead over Ferrari and third placed Toyota team. Thank you for joining me for this race around the Red Bull Ring, and I will see you next time for a dramatic top speed race around Tokyo. Good night.